Hello, everyone. I just wanted to come on. I am a leader, I am a minister, and I've been talking about unity and peace and love for quite some time on my channel. I'm not well known on my channel, but I want to talk about this because it's very important. We have to look at most people that are out there looting, what they want is justice. And we all want justice. And we're not saying that all lives don't matter. But what we are saying is that Black lives matter because when we continue to see all these senseless killings, regardless of what someone's background is or what type of lifestyle that they've had, if it is a senseless killing, then that's exactly what it is, a senseless killing, a murder, a lynching. And when I look at Ahmaud Arbery murdered down, and I look at Breonna Taylor, and I look at George Floyd, I didn't know any of those people. But you know what? I love everybody and I care. And as an advocate, an activist, and a leader in my community, I stand for justice and I stand for what is right. And I am against injustice. And I want to encourage all of the Black females on YouTube and all the Black women that are being told not to support Black men because you're what are you doing? Because you're angry because you didn't get what you want, it didn't work out. But that has nothing to do with when someone is murdered in cold blood, when someone has been killed senselessly because of a criminal thug cop. It happens over and over and over. And there was criminals and thugs in the Bible, but God forgave them. He forgave them. He met them where they were. And so we can't look at someone's background and say they deserve to die when they were killed senselessly. Neither one of them that were killed were robbing any banks, committing any murders. They were all unarmed. So why do we feel like we need to talk about someone's background? That has nothing to do with it. At this point, it's unfortunate that some people have that mentality that these people or George Floyd deserved to die. He did not. I have a son. I have nephews. I have brothers. And I protested yesterday by myself, standing on the corner with my sign, protesting, saying their names: Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery. Because there is no peace when there is no justice. No peace, no justice. And not all police officers are bad. One of my brothers was a peace officer. Rest in peace, my brother. And he was a good detective, fair. And he was lenient at times because he knew the struggle of Black people and Black men. So not all police officers are bad. Because I am a leader in my community, I work with them. But there are some thug bad cops, and we need to recognize those cops for who they are. And if their sergeants are allowing them to get away with mistreating citizens, then we need to start holding their leaders accountable also. You don't get to get away with it if you are a leader and you are allowing your subordinates under you to make false reports when they document what happened during the arrest or during the stop. You have no business on the force yourself. And no police officer should serve if they have hate in their heart. Because as an officer, you took an oath to protect and to serve. And you have to remember that the citizens pay your salaries. Taxpayers' money I'm a veteran. So I took an oath and I know what it means to take an oath. So if you're taking an oath and you have hate in your heart, you are you are not the person that you say you are. You are fronting and you are a fraud. And for every officer that has hate in your heart and you do not do the right thing and use integrity, then you need to resign right now because we are no longer going to stand by and allow our people to be killed in cold blood murder and not say anything else. We refuse to stand by and allow injustice to continue. We see it over and over, even in the judicial system. Black men get more time than any other race in America. They are treated the harsh in the judicial system. And even when they get the truth told to them, you all in the judicial system, the government system, this is systemic issues. You still don't want to believe the truth. You want to continue to see our color and never see us as human, that we have a heart that pumps blood, that we have lungs, that we breathe in and out. And you don't want to see that because you continually want to see our color. That's what you want to see. Emphasize our culture instead of seeing us as human. Listen, it takes a man and woman to create, procreate heterosexual relationships. And whether you have a son or not, you have a responsibility and an obligation to stand for what is right. And for the ones that want to throw out subliminals and post stuff on your YouTube channel, I pray for you because most Black families, parents, they taught their children to love and not hate. That's what we were taught. And to show hate to your fellow mankind is atrocious, it's grievous. I can't imagine if you lost a loved one, how would you really feel? You don't have to have a son. But if you have a daughter and she chooses to marry and be in a heterosexual relationship as God has ordained, and she has children and they are sons, what will you do if one of them is murdered? What will you do when injustice comes your way? Because injustice is just a doorstep away from all of us. And when you have dirty cops, thug cops, criminal minded cops with a heart of stone, we are going to continue to experience racism, discrimination, injustice, and senseless killings and murders, such as we have seen within these 30 days. God met people where they were, and He forgave people all over the land. Jesus did it for us. He did it. So if you're talking about somebody's background and thinking they deserve to die, because we already have the media to do that for us, is to bring up people's background, to try to sabotage and make it seem like they deserve to die. And when I sit there and see a white young man in handcuffs and given a drink of water. And George Floyd asked for a drink of water and was refused. But the Bible says, when a man is thirsty and he asks for a drink, would you give your brother a drink? We are supposed to give a drink. I saw no compassion. I saw no love. But what I saw was pure hate of that officer Chauvin. Pure hate. And the officers that stood by and allowed it lack integrity. You are cowards because you stood by and didn't intervene and didn't correct your fellow officer. You are cowards and you deserve to be prosecuted along with Officer Chauvin. Chauvin. So if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I hope I spelled it right. You deserve to suffer the consequences because God has called us to be accountable because He holds us accountable and we have to be accountable. And you need to be accountable and held responsible for participating in the murder of George Floyd. I can't imagine the pain that these families are suffering at the hands of dirty thug cops. And for President Trump, we should never encourage violence on top of violence. You are the leader of this country, and people are watching you, they're listening to you, they're observing you, and they think it's okay to incite violence up on top of violence. That's not what God calls us to. Leaders of this country are supposed to find every peaceable solution, not encourage war, not encourage violence, but find every peaceable solution. We see the problem. We know the problem. When will you stand for what is right? I learned a long time ago in 1968. I was a young child what racism and discrimination and prejudice was. And I have been through it and suffered it. Even up to a couple of months ago, it doesn't change. But I refuse to participate in hate. I refuse to participate in violence. I refuse to change my heart to hate because love always wins. Now, I don't condone burning down buildings because the same essential services that people are going into the communities, destroying these communities and burning them up. When you leave, these residents, the people that live there, what will they have after you have looted and destroyed a city? We have to stay focused on the goal, on the mark. And it's not about violence. It's not about burning down buildings. We have got to be above basic thinkers. We have got to come together in unity and be unified as a Black community. We have to come together for change, for good. Register to vote. Study the leaders and people that are trying to vote and get on these ballots. Study them. Prepare. What about the city councilmen and the mayors? Study them before you vote. Stand for what is right. I was grieved, and I still am. But I stood on that corner, and I didn't care what they thought of me. But I stood and protested. When Colin Kaepernick kneeled, they blackballed him. They talked about him. But guess what? Kneeling should be about God, about love, about respect. Kneeling should not lead to killing. Let me say that again. Kneeling should not lead to killing. Kneeling should not lead to killing. No killing for kneeling. When I learned of those officers being arrested, I was standing on the corner protesting, and a passenger in a vehicle told me they were arrested. But it's not enough. That's a basic right that those officers or that officer should have been arrested. It's a basic human right. But we don't want just arrest. We cannot settle just for arrest. We need a conviction, prosecution, and jail time is what we need. We have got to start holding these officers accountable for their wrongdoing, for their violations. This has been going on for so long, but it's being filmed more. But it hasn't changed. We're just starting to see it more because it's being filmed and videoed and recorded. And I'm sure that you may come on my channel and don't agree with me about what I said about Black women coming forward. I don't care who you don't like and who you want to date. But we should not hate one another, and we should not hate our own. Because no matter what has happened to you in a past relationship with a Black man, you will always be Black, and you cannot wash the color off. Black is Black, and you have got to know your worth and the beauty of color. I know my worth. They may not value me, but I value me. I value me because I can't change what color I am. I can't change what race I am. But when you throw subliminals and try to talk about someone's character on your YouTube channel because you think below the surface, but we were born with common sense. And if you're not using it, You got to self-evaluate yourself, because we are not going to be silent. Sin is everywhere. So when you throw out subliminals like that, sin is sin. And there is no level. You cannot rate sin. It is sin. It's not a customer service survey. Sin is sin. And we can no longer stand by and watch officers kill our people in cold blood murder. The Bible calls death to be in turn on the ones that do it senselessly. And if you are a family member protecting your family or your husband, and you watched George Floyd be murdered in cold blood, you watched Ahmaud Arbery be murdered in cold blood, you are the problem also. And I stand on what I stand on, and I'm saying what I'm saying. And I don't use my channel for this type of commentary, but I'm using it today because I cannot remain silent as a citizen, as a taxpayer, and as a leader in my community. We are encouraging all leaders to fix the problem. You know what it is, and you have got to fix the problem. See, because I know racism is taught, hate is taught, it's learned behavior. Children are innocent until they're taught differently. And if you're teaching hate and racism and prejudice and discrimination, then you are part of the problem also. Kneeling should not lead to killing. I'm calling on our leaders to do the right thing. Calling on our brothers and sisters to come together in unity. Be unified. Stand together all over this land. If you can, grab somebody's hand. Pray for one another. Sign the petitions. Give donations. Get out and vote. Do the right thing. Don't be afraid because you think you might lose some friends or some likes and clicks on your channels and money. Money can be the root of all evil when you don't use it correctly. Money cannot bring back a life. Money cannot bring back a life. Would you stand up and be counted? Stand up for justice. We have to say something. When you see injustice, and I want to say this because sometimes even little The injustice doesn't even always lead to killings. But as the little things, the little holes in the cheese, they get bigger until there's no more cheese. And we're tired. And how can we build bridges if we have no workers? How can we build bridges without any workers? We have to bridge the gap. And if we don't build bridges, we can't get across the river. We can't get to the other side if we don't build bridges. And if we don't repair the roads, we will continue to have a bumpy ride. Come on, somebody, do you hear me? Don't ever think that you made it because of your money and the community that you live in. Don't ever think that you made it because God doesn't bless us to sit on our blessings. He blesses us to be a blessing to others. So if you're sitting down thinking that you made it and you don't want to get involved, you are no friend of mine. And I will pray for you. And you know who you are. I don't have to try to call out names or remember names. I don't need to do that. But if you are the one that's lacking courage, lacking integrity, lacking unity, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out. I cannot support anyone that will not stand with our brothers and sisters and rebuke the devil in the name of the Son and the Father and the Holy Spirit. I cannot support you if you don't support your brothers and sisters in this senseless killing. Kneeling should not lead to killing.